And welcome to Ask Coach Wendy alongside Wendy Mader. I'm Dave Erickson. I love this topic, Wendy. It's about dropping time in transition. I've been told over the years that transition times are basically free time. If you can be efficient in your transition between swim and bike or bike and run, you're going to be a lot better with your overall time in your triathlon, because this is the area that's everyone has the same distance to deal with. But if you know what to do and how to set things up, you can save a lot more time and probably get out of transition sometimes a minute, 2 minutes faster than somebody else. So let's talk about how do you approach T1 and T2?
Well, first I want to say it's a great topic because I never thought anything of transition. I just never practiced it. I used my racing experience to do it. And I told myself if I ever lose a race by less than a minute, I'm going to start working on my transitions. And there was I think it was nationals, 10 or 15 years ago. I lost a race by 12 seconds. It wasn't to someone in my age group. But still, this girl beat me by 12 seconds. And I was a faster swimmer, faster biker, faster runner. So then I decided, okay, transitions really do matter. Especially when you have the experience and you're kind of getting to that level where you want to drop some time. And number two, I want to talk about this is because a lot of athletes, when they tell me their predicted overall time, they forget to include their time for T1 and T2. So all of a sudden they miss their goal time by 5 minutes. And then I tell them, well, if you take out transitions, you really did meet your goal time. So it's an important topic to practice and discuss because triathlon's all about transition. So what I like to do is keep it really simple and really basic. Think of the things you need while you're running and biking. You need your cycling shoes, your bike, your helmet, and your sunglasses for the most part. That's what I need. And then for the run, I need my running shoes and my race belt and my visor. And that's it. I'm doing everything in the same outfit, so I don't have to change. So it's nice. One of the quickest things you could do to save time is wear what you're going to run and bike in. Wear that underneath your wetsuit. Most people will wear like a tri-suit or a tank top and shorts. Wear that under your wetsuit. If you don't want to wear a wetsuit, those type of clothing articles are good to wear even in the water without a wetsuit. That's what they're made for. So that's step one to save time is wear what you're going to wear. Always practice what you're going to do. Practice your transitions beforehand so you know what to expect. When you get to the race site, know your ins and outs. I've lost time because I've run the wrong direction with my bike, trying to get my bike out, or I've run the wrong direction after I've wrecked my bike. I've run the wrong way out and then have to turn around. So really that's important. Keep it simple, know your ins and outs, wear what you're going to wear the whole race, and practice a lot.
How do you set up the ground of your transition? Because some people will put a towel down, they'll put maybe a mat down, and I see I know what I do. I'm pretty good at my transitions. I know how to group my clothes and my equipment. What are your suggestions on that?
And grouping's a really good idea. I have actually a blog about transitions and I have photos. I tend to use a towel, but I tend to forget towels too. I have my cycling shoes. If I'm going to wear socks, the socks are on top of my cycling shoes. I rack my bike and my helmet is on my aero bars. If you don't have aero bars, you should still have your helmet like near your bike. And my glasses are in my helmet. So my helmet's lying down with my glasses. When I approach transition, it's going through my mind what I'm going to do. What I do is glasses, helmet, socks and shoes, or just shoes. Grab my bike and go. I prefer to rack my bike also by the saddle versus the handlebars. It just depends on the race. Some races require the handlebars. Some races require the saddle. I've just learned through experience what I prefer. It's easier to get my bike out if I rack it through the saddle. And I use a little tiny space. I don't take up a lot of space.
And I think this might be by race venue, but some races allow you to put your shoes on your bike versus having to put your shoes on and run with your shoes.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So if you're going to choose to keep your shoes on your bike, usually you have to connect it with a rubber band if you want to kind of keep them stable. Make sure you practice that, where your shoes are on your bike, you're running your bike to the mountain line, and maybe you're going to run your bike and then kind of jump on it and then slip your slip your feet in your shoes. That's so important to practice. I don't do that. I either put my shoes on and run with my shoes and bike, or I carry my shoes, run. Depends how long I have to run with my shoes on. But sometimes I carry my shoes, run my bike to the mountain line, and then take the extra 30 seconds to put my shoes on, because I've seen so many people wipe out who don't practice with what's called a flying mount, where their shoes are clipped in and they're kind of running along, and then they're kind of flying and mounting their bike. People falling over. I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm fine without doing that.
How about setting up your run transition with your shoes? And some people will wear socks and some people don't, but I've seen this and I've actually practiced it, because after your bike, depending on the weather and how much you sweat, they'll have baby powder or some sort of powder in their shoes to help not only put their socks on, but also have a dry set of shoes to put their wet feet in.
Right. I've never done that before in my life, but it's actually not a bad idea. My bike to run transition's pretty quick, because I'm always like, I'm off the bike, I can't wait to go run. And again, I'm as I'm approaching that T2 second transition, it's going through my mind, where's my rack? What am I going to do? I usually try to run with my bike. So after I dismount, I try to keep running. And I rack my bike, and I'm doing it the reverse. I'm taking my helmet off, my glasses off. Sometimes I put on a fresh pair of glasses for the run, and take the shoes off with the running shoes. And then I grab my visor and I grab my race belt. And as I'm running, I'm putting the belt on and putting the visor on as I'm running out of transition. And then, some people are going to carry nutrition as well. So that's something you want to set up.
What about laces?
Ooh, that's a good one. I use Yanks. There's a couple brands out there. Yanks were my first. They're elastic laces where you put them on your shoes and you don't have to tie them. If you're going to go that route, that's one of probably the best ways to save time. Not only are you going to be able to just slip your feet in and out of your running shoes, you're not going to have to stop during the run and tie your shoe. Mm-hmm. That could be really draining, especially if you're a little achy in the back or the quads or the hamstrings, to have to bend over and tie your shoe and then have to stand up again. Could be very draining and mentally not make you feel that well. So those Yanks laces or other brands of elastic laces are so helpful.
Do you have a cutoff on the distance of the race, determining whether or not you wear socks on the run and on the bike?
In a half and a full distance, I will always wear socks. A sprint, I don't. An Olympic, I always have them available, but I don't always use them.
They're there just in case.
Yeah, depends.
Yeah.
And sometimes I put them on before the bike. Sometimes I put them on before the run. It really just depends where my mind is at the moment. Mm-hmm. But as long as they're there, I have that option.
Yeah. Another little technique, I think you've said this before, is that let's say you have nutrition and you are getting ready to go on the bike, but you don't know where to put it. You might put it up the thigh of your speed suit, or maybe somewhere in your body suit somewhere.
I always have nutrition on my body. Mm-hmm. I've heard horror stories about people putting it on their bike, or like in a bento box, or taped on their bike, or even in the back, that they've gone over a bump and they've lost it. So I prefer to stuff down my suit, but actually probably more than that, I like to stuff it down my cycling short. I feel like I'm the only one that does that, because when I tell people I do that, their eyes open up and they're like, wow, what a great idea. It is a great idea.
Yeah, I've put gels up on my thigh before, just underneath, and it has never fallen out. And I have seen pros put water bottles down their chest. I think I've seen women do it more than men, just by chance, just by memory. Right. But they'll put it right here for that extra bottle, or when they're going through zones. I'm drawing a blank here. Every 10 miles is aid station. Yes, they'll take a bottle of water and they'll just put it in their chest or drink it.
Keeps it cool.
Keeps their body cool. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not one. I don't do the water bottles in the back. I do the down tube water bottles. That's what I'm comfortable with. Mm-hmm. I don't even do the water bottle that's in my aero bars. Doesn't work for me. But I would probably do that. I never even thought about putting a water bottle there, but that's a great idea, because you just have that extra.
I've even put a banana there if I didn't have anywhere else to put one. Like let's say my back of my jersey was full or there's just no room for it. I need to have that nutrition. I'll put it in there just to hold it until I'm ready to eat it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, those tri-suits can hold a lot in your body. Yeah. So no excuses.
There you go.
There's always something to do with your nutrition.
Little bonus.
But again, the basic thing about how to get quicker in anything is practice and mentally rehearse what's going to happen. You get to the race venue early enough to take your time to make sure you have everything there and to practice. And, I even go through my ins and outs while I'm waiting around for my wave to start. I will actually walk in and walk out. Some people actually put like balloons or something to highlight where their bike is. I've even seen people chalk on if it's concrete, they'll put chalk on the ground leading up to their bike. So, if they get a little disoriented after getting out of the swim, they just follow their chalk line and they know where to go.
Yeah, most recently I did Ironman 70.3 Coeur d'Alene, which was new this year. And so I was assuming because it's the same venue as the full Ironman in the past, transition will be pretty much the same, but it wasn't. There was a different in, and there was a running around the outside of the entire transition for the bike in and out and the run again. And so the day I dropped off my bike, which is the day before, I walked through, I spotted some familiar landmarks. I happened to be next to a tree that had white bark on it, so that was easy to find. I even took a picture for myself to look at it later, and then I walked my way through it. Okay, here's the swim in. I walked through that spot. I walked to the bike out. I walked back in from the bike in and run out. And the next day, I again mentally went through this and visually did those checks, and it helped out quite a bit. And oddly enough, this transition was about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes for me on race day, which is quite a bit longer than normal. So both T1 and T2 are around 4 minutes long. So that just kind of shows you how you never want to go, personally, you never want to say, I want to PR at this race, because transitions can make a big impact. That was like 7 minutes of extra time that I didn't account for. But if you just added my swim, bike, and run, I had a good race. But then I added 7 minutes to it and go, oh my gosh, that's not my PR.
I had an athlete do that race, and he wore booties, and he hadn't worn booties all year. So he struggled taking those booties off his feet after he got out of the water. He thought he was going to save time because it was a long run and it was cold. So he's like, I'll wear the booties. I'll be able to run faster to my bike. And then he lost a lot of time taking those booties off because he didn't practice. One more thing I wanted to mention regarding an open water swim with a wetsuit. Always know ahead of time what you're going to do with your wetsuit if there's no wetsuit strippers. Are you gonna start peeling it off while you're running or while you're walking? Know if you're going to run or walk and practice that. Are you going to run all the way to transition and then start taking it off? You just want to know what you're going to do ahead of time to make it quicker. Even, knowing what you're going to do and preparing your mind and body will make anything quicker because you're more confident on what's going to happen.
I had the same kind of idea at this race where I stripped it down to my waist immediately out of the swim, but I knew I wasn't going to take it all the way off. I'm just going to jog it in until I got to my transition, and then I did the all the way down to my ankles, one leg off at a time, and then set it down. That's
probably the quickest thing to do. I've done a variety of things. I've actually gotten out of the water and just sat there and took it off right away because it was a long run and I carried it. I don't know if that was faster or not. It was so long ago. It's probably my time that I didn't care. But again, just practice what's right for you, because what's quicker for one person may not be quick for you too.
Yeah, a little memory flashback here. Ironman Wisconsin, they have the helix where they have to run up the parking lot spiral after their swim. And I saw one of our friends, Timex teammate, Jackie Arndt, who took it all the way off and put it over her arm, and she ran with her wetsuit up the helix, where some people kept it on or some people left it on their waist. And it was just a preference, but it saves maybe just mentally one less thing to think about once you get to your bike. I don't know.
Right. It's just preparing that mind that you're confident, you know what you're going to do. Sometimes that changes because you're like, ooh, they're doing something else. Maybe I need to do what they're doing. No, you don't. You need to do what you practice and stick with it, and then experience it, see how it went, and then maybe the next race, try something different. Between that race and the next race, practice, and then see what happens. Really, I think the best experience is racing a lot, gets you quicker at that type of thing. The quickest way for me to transition is to not wear a wetsuit. because I feel like I lose so much time stripping that wetsuit off my body. So I have a threshold of water temperature that I have whether I'll wear a wetsuit or not.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Well, if you have a question for Wendy, use the hashtag AskCoachWendy on Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube. We'll find it and we'll feature it possibly on an upcoming episode. So until then, Wendy, thanks very much, and thanks for watching.
Yep, thanks.